Hey everybody. So it's been a few years since I've been in Montana, which is actually kind of weird because Montana is one of my favorite states to go to. But whatever, life. My buddy has a place in Big Sky and he invited us to go up there and hang for a few days. So jumped on a plane and went out to Bozeman. Speaking of which, our plane actually got diverted to Idaho Falls because some fighter jet blew a tire or something on the runway. I think those are the Tetons, but don't quote me on it. Since we were delayed by a few hours, all we did was just drive up to Big Sky and relaxed. The next morning, I thought I was going to get up early, but didn't. Time zone changes, you know. But one of the weird things that we saw on the way down was actually a roadkill bear, which is kind of sad, but if you look closely, it actually had a piece of metal in its mouth. Anyways, I went south, I think, along the Gallatin and decided to fish a tributary of the Gallatin, Taylor Fork or Taylor Creek. This, I think, is considered Taylor Fork of the Gallatin. Started out with dry droppers. Actually, this might have actually been a dry by itself. Just wanted to see if what would pop up. Didn't take long though. Right by the parking spot, got a hit, and they weren't huge, but pretty fish. Seems like this section had cutties and rainbows, which is fine by me. I don't discriminate. They were actually taking both the dry and the dropper. So for the dry, I was using a hopper. Wasn't too big, about an inch to an inch and a half. And then the dropper was just any small subsurface nymph. This is actually by the parking spot again. So we had gone up a couple hundred yards and then came back. And usually if you let the section rest, you can find new fish there. I forgot to take some transition video, so here's me teleporting to the next spot, which is actually Taylor Creek itself. So the more I think about it, I think the section I was fishing is still considered the Gallatin, and this part is Taylor Creek. This looked like really fishy water, but I'm guessing it looked like really fishy water to a lot of people because they were quick. They would just come up, take it, and sometimes just swipe at it. It's bugging the heck out of me. This actually looked like really prime bear country, and there were signs that said this was bear country. I brought bear spray, but I still did the hey bear thing. So the first hour I got a ton of hits, but I couldn't bring one in. This was the second one I actually hooked in this pool. The first one I fought a little bit and it got off. I'm guessing this was a rainbow, but can't say for sure because didn't bring this one in either. So this is the first one I actually did bring in, but as you can kind of see, I foul hooked it, just by luck. But at least I got to see what kind of fish there were. I saw a little bit of red on the neck, but I don't know, maybe I had herpes or something, but couldn't tell if it was a rainbow or a cutty or a cut bow. So the thing with these pools is after the first few shots, they pretty much shut off, so you had to switch flies. I went from a hopper to a purple haze, I think. And this one was, after 2 hours of fishing, my first legitimate fish to bring in. It wasn't a bad size one. This one I didn't see much red on it, so I'm guessing this is a rainbow. There's no shortage of scenery in Montana, so it makes these long drives actually pretty relaxing. Big sky, kind of a ritzy ski area. Oh, next morning I had to get up super early. Like, I think we had to leave by, I want to say we had to leave by 6 because it was an hour and a half drive to the launch point on the Madison. Really pretty river. Right off the bat, we were tossing hoppers. This was literally probably the first minute after we launched, and I thought this was going to be just a wide open day. Boy, was I wrong. So I actually didn't catch anything for the first 2 hours. I blame the fact I was sitting in the back of the boat because I'm a gentleman and decided to let the lady have the front of the boat. Or it could just be August and they said the hatches were all over. I blamed the boat position, to be honest. Anyways, we switched to dry droppers for a little bit and eventually switched to just indicator fishing with 2 nymphs. Shortly after this fly change break, I actually did hook onto my first fish. This one was a chunky brown actually, and this fight took longer than I expected, probably because of the currents and things like that. And I had hooked it on the bottom tiny fly, so I didn't want to horse it in. I edited it down just so you didn't get bored of me watching me just hold the rod and reeling every once in a while. But it was a fun fight, and I'm glad that I actually got this fish for my first fish and just in general on this float because it kind of made my float.
Nice one.
Nice round. Oh, show! That's what we needed.
Here we almost doubled up, but mine came unbuttoned and hers didn't, which was actually the story of this trip. She got, I think, double-digit fish. I caught like 4, but this was a white fish, and it was foul hooked, if you want to get technical.
And foul hooks.
Oh, you hooked him right in the butthole.
So here was another hookup from the front of the boat. I'm not salty, really. I'm not. I'm happy for her. that's why I didn't move my rod and kept on fishing. Although, to be fair, I actually don't think I caused that loss, but she blames me. This was probably the one clip from this float that actually showed the indicator going down and me bringing the fish in. And just my luck, it was by accident when I was trying to cast, and it ended up being a dink. Really, I'm not bitter. Although, I did catch the biggest fish on this float, so I have that going for me. At least, trout-wise. I think she caught a bigger whitefish. Anyways, even though I didn't catch too many fish, the scenery was pretty spectacular, so I really enjoyed this float. I'd probably do it again. This one was, towards the end, I brought in another, it was a decent brown, it wasn't huge, but it gave me something to end the float on a positive note. Eventually I went back to a hopper just for fun, and like the other creek, the strikes were super fast. Like, if you didn't set the hook right away, you had no chance. And I honestly, looking at this footage again, I kind of think I had too much slack in my line. If I had to do it again, I would probably take some of that slack out. Met this really friendly dog at the parking lot. So that cliff right there, the guy told us is actually one of those buffalo jumps or something like that, where they would herd buffalo, the Native Americans would, and basically drive them off the cliff. The last day we actually went to a fish camp, which was kind of like a glampy part of the Gallatin, I think. And well, actually no, this was part of Uso Falls. Small brookies, or sorry, small cutties, and they were pretty though. Didn't film anything because I was teaching kids, but it was a good time. Anyways, went back to Bozeman for a day and checked out the Museum of the Rockies again. Got a few more trips coming up and then an international one, so thanks for watching and subscribe for future trips.